everybody, welcome back to the All Men. My name is Max Haddad. As always, I'm your host because it's my podcast. So stop asking for another host. You're hurting my feelings. Welcome. This is a podcast where sometimes we do some stuff and other times we do other stuff. It's a podcast primarily about stand-up comedy, mental health, the news. Comparing left and right-leaning articles. Today is a talk day, meaning it's a day where I'm going to bullshit for an hour. If you're a new listener, please stick around. Leave a like, subscribe, that sort of thing. We're trying to grow. We're trying to become big and famous and rich, okay? So I can stop doing this and you'll never see me again, okay? When I get that sweet first million and I buy a cabin in the woods by myself. Now, I understand upkeep for a home is very expensive. I'm going to need at least an acre of land. That sort of thing is not easy to maintain. I'll probably have to come back and do some Geico commercials, that sort of thing. But until that happens, it's a log cabin, so there's not shingles, but the roof starts caving in, that sort of thing. Until that happens, I'll be gone. So please make me rich and famous. Everybody knows that's why I'm doing this. I'm all in it for the money, okay? I'm doing a podcast for over a year now for 20 people who, by the way, thank you so much, everybody that tunes in every week. I really appreciate you. I really, really do. You know I'm doing it for those people for the money, okay? Max, you're coming in hot today. What's the attitude about? Me. Just me being me. I'm so sick of myself. I'm sick of myself because I constantly am comparing myself to other people. It never ends. If I accomplish one thing that I've been working on for a while, then I immediately look to the next thing and I'm like, oh, well, I haven't done that yet. So I know you were starting to think that you're, good at this and you have value, but hole up, partner, because you're not actually, because that person's done this and you haven't done that. It's just never ends. And the money. I've got plenty of money, but no, I'm not. I'm about as lower class as you can be. I don't like to talk about money, but I've got plenty of money. I got a wonderful home. I've got a dog. I got a family. I got plenty of food. Trust me, plenty of food. Okay. Plenty of food. Maybe too much food, some would say, some being me. And, so it's, I didn't start doing this for the money, but I'm like, look at how much money they're making. I want to make that money. I'm so sick of it. And, I'm sick of it because it makes me feel like shit. But honestly, I'm sick of it because it really gets in the way of me doing what I want to do, which is just be funny and have a good time. That's why I wanted to do stand-up. When I was 20 years old or 19, whatever I was, I had been thinking about doing stand-up since I was like 16, up until that point I wanted to do music. And I'm still a decent guitar player, things like that. That's what I wanted to do. And then I was listening to a Patton Oswalt CD, Werewolves and Lollipops, and there's a joke on there where he talks about Star Wars, dishes and things. Star Wares, knives, forks, porcelain vases, Star Wars, and where it comes from, and John Voight's ballsack, and just all, and it was a straightforward joke, and but it did a thing. It was funny, but it also kind of said something. And I'm stupid, and some comedians learned this at 4 years old, but it took me until I was like 16. I saw a comedian do a thing with a joke other than just make people laugh. They made a point, and I was like, oh. Literally in that moment, my brain just like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. And so I switched. But then it took me, 3-4 more years to get the courage to get on stage. I started writing jokes, but writing jokes without performing them, without figuring out if they're funny or not, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's useless, but it's sort of delusional. It's like you convince yourself you're doing something, but the truth is I was just too afraid. I was just putting off signing up for my first open mic. And then a girl broke up with me who I really cared a lot about. And it was bound to happen, by the way. It was a horrible relationship. Both of us were terrible at being good to one another. And it needed to happen. And thank God it did. I look back now and I'm like, how did I ever do that? And but then I just was like, well, life can't get any worse. Because when you've had a really privileged, wonderful life, And the only thing wrong with it is that a girl that you shouldn't have been with in the first place breaks up with you. And you're like, well, this is literally as bad as life gets. This is as bad as the Holocaust. You're like, well, I'll just sign up for an open mic, So when you've got, basically what I'm saying is when you've got no awareness of the depths that life can go to torture you, you will think that you've got nothing left to lose to go sign up for an open mic. Luckily, I was stupid and ignorant that way, right? Because if I actually had some sense of the depravities of life, then I probably wouldn't have signed up. I would have been like, I don't want to add embarrassing myself onto a list of things that is wrong or potentially wrong. So I signed up, and that was the end of it, and it's been up and down ever since then, with time away and all sorts of stuff for all sorts of reasons, as regular listeners know. But, I got into this thing because I wanted to do that. I wanted to make a point. I wanted to be funny, and I didn't want to sit in a fucking office. And now all of a sudden, I've created an office in my living room, and I'm sitting in it, and I'm feeling bad. I might as well just go get a job 9 to 5 somewhere and be miserable that way, because at least that way somebody's telling me what to do and I don't have to think for myself. I don't have to. Not to say that y'all in an office are dumb. It's not what I'm not. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that work in offices that do have to think for themselves. But I'm saying, like, why don't I just go sign my life away and just give up all this energy that I spend trying to figure things out? I don't have to worry about it. I can just go to my job and I can come home and I can play video games and hang out with my dog and work out and get babes. Oh, so many babes. Get babes like crazy. But instead it's just dumb. It's dumb. It's like, dude, I used to have a thing on my wall. Maybe first or second apartment I ever got, coincidentally with another girl I shouldn't have been dating. But I'm starting to see a theme here, Max. Do you maybe distract yourself with a relationship instead of working on yourself, working on your own life? Oh, I don't know. But I had a sign on my wall that said, "When did being funny become so serious?" Okay? I like to write little aphorisms, little meaningful things. Okay? I used to think I was a lot smarter than I think I am now, but still, every now and then I come up with something neat that strikes me in a certain way, hits me right where it matters, in the ass. And it meant something to me. It's like, truly, when did being funny become so serious? And there's work involved in this. It is a career that takes a lot of effort in a lot of different ways. And honestly, more now than ever, I feel like it used to be easier. I don't want to go through this rigmarole, this story that I tell every fucking week, but used to be you would just go to the comedy club and try to be funny. Now you got to be on social media and this, that, and the other, all that. But, I wanted to do it because it's fun and it feels good. And I get in my own stupid way and tell myself that it's about stuff that it's not about. And, it's because I've got these insecurities. I'm older than I would like to be. I'm not old, but I'm not where I would like to be, and this, that, and the other. So I try to force myself to work harder or whatever by basically guilt tripping myself about what my life looks like. Is this relatable? Do you guys get this way? Do you? How many of you out there are horrible, harsh self-critics? I see it all the time, and I'm grateful. Honestly, I'm grateful because I would rather be this way than the person that's delusional, that tells themselves they're amazing all the time. Okay, but there's a middle ground somewhere that I need to get to for sure. It's too hot to be wearing a vest, and but at the same time, I'm also grateful because I see it. I see it now. I see the way that I treat myself in my head. I see it. Man, if anybody treated one of my friends this way, I'd be so pissed off. I'd be so angry. I think oftentimes when somebody's in a toxic relationship, you kind of just stay away because you don't want to be the person that tells them to break up with their significant other and then they never break up. And now you're the person that they know doesn't like this person. And then what if, and you should kind of tell your spouse or whatever, everything. So what if they tell them like, Max said, you're a bitch. And now they know, and it's just awkward, so you kind of you keep your distance. But sometimes it's so bad you have to be like, I'm sorry, I know this isn't my place, but you need to get the fuck out. You need to get out. This person is horrible to you. Horrible. But when I do it to myself, I just sit there and I'm like, now really listen to what they say. This is like if there was a woman in an abusive relationship and I walk in on the husband like getting ready to punch her, and I go up to her and she thinks I'm going to be like, don't hit her and I'm going to save you, and I'm rush her out of the house. But instead I'm like, all right, now put your chin forward so he can really punch you as hard as he possibly can. That's what I do to myself. Not only do I berate myself, but I berate myself for not letting myself be berated better. It's wild. It's wild. And I'm catching myself now. This is, I mean, I've known this for a while, but it's like, for me, there's the awareness, but then there's like a second level of awareness where I actually care enough to start trying to do something about it. And so I'm catching myself being so negative with some imposter syndrome shit too, for sure. So negative. And then at least now, like trying to be like, hold on, dude. Hold on. Let's look at this objectively with a little bit of optimism instead. Like, let's not lie to ourselves, okay? It's not helpful for me. If I have like a horrible set, okay? It's not helpful for me to get off stage and be like, it's actually the audience's fault. I basically killed it. I was basically the funniest person in that room. They just weren't smart enough for the jokes. All those jokes about my penis, they just didn't get it because their IQ's too low to hear about my balls. So that's not helpful. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't make me feel better because I know that I'm bullshitting myself. I mean, I've tried it. I'll try anything for a decade. You know, I've tried to be delusional. It just doesn't fix anything for me. So I have to look at it objectively, you know, like that amount of realism, so I can actually be like, let me come up with a solution to whatever just happened that's upsetting. But what also isn't helpful, what also doesn't change anything is the opposite of that overly optimistic, everybody else is wrong but me delusion. Like the everybody else is right except for me. Because that's where I find myself at times. I find myself saying, you know, John, Jason, Gene, and Jessica, they've all fucking got it down pat, and they're great. They're great, and they work harder than you, and they do this, that, and the other, and you know, and it's like they got all the answers, and I don't. And it's bullshit. It is bullshit. And the proof is that I'm here. I'm here. I've been through some wild shit, and I'm still alive, and I'm still kicking. And the honest truth is I'm doing better than I ever have in every area of my life. Every area of my life. Relationships, no longer dating toxic people, no longer being a toxic, you know, significant other. Like, I'm not being an asshole, and I'm not dating assholes. And I'm not just dating people because they're available and they like me or whatever, or they're willing, you know. Comedy, working harder than I ever have, working in creative ways, pushing myself to try things I haven't tried, you know, like very diligently and in a focused way, working on material instead of just showing up and being like, let me riff, you know, like I'm really doing it. I'm sending out emails and messages and whatever to bookers. It's like I'm putting myself out there in ways I was not before. Before my fingers were crossed, and that was my strategy. It's like I got both fingers crossed. I'm going to go just be funny. And in a way that was a more peaceful existence, but it wasn't leading anywhere. And then I would wonder every 9 months why I was so miserable and nothing was improving. You know, so stand up. Health, diet's never been this good before. Exercise has never been this good before. The exercise is new. I don't want to sound too optimistic about it. You guys know me. Those of you that listen regularly know I go up and down. I start things and I stop things, but that's human. I'm not going to be too mean to myself about it. But truth is, the diet's been pretty fucking good for a minute now. And I've been going to the gym regularly. What else? I've never been so consistently healthy in regards to drugs and alcohol and therapy. The VIX is down 2.46%. What are you telling me, computer? What app did I accidentally download? The CBOE. I don't know anything. Do you guys know anything about stocks? I have no idea. I have no idea. My dad tries to tell me about them, and I love him for it. He tries to explain to me what he's doing and this, that, and the other. He's had some success on it, and then he'll send me an email because he's signed up for some super expensive service, and I Google the person who provides the service, and it turns out it's just a scam, and I'm like, oh, so he doesn't know what he's doing either. Okay. Is this just gambling with large amounts of money? Gambling from your home, basically? Is that the stock market? I mean, I know that there's people that get it. I mean, I've been told that. You grow up hearing that, like seeing that on TV. People in Wall Street, stock market. What is it? This is how much I know. And they're, there's, hey, if you're going to be in public yelling that loud, you better know what you're talking about. Okay. And there's that many people doing it at the same time. I just assume they know what they're talking about. So, and you see all these little numbers and you're like, well, I guess somebody knows what the fuck's going on. To me, it just is like, it's the excitement of gambling. That's what every person that I talk to that is invested in some way, literally and figuratively, in the stock market, the stock exchange, they just they have the same aura about them as somebody that is buying a scratch-off ticket at a gas station. They don't seem like wizened investors. They seem like somebody that's like, oh, I bought a $10 one, I'm hoping it pays out. That's what it is like. And when it pays out, then they take credit for it. It's like, oh, I know. I told him, I said, don't give me the card up front. Give me the one behind it. I just had a feeling about it. That's how they talk about it. If you ask them, why do you think this? Are there people that'll be like, well, I did some Googling and it turns out this product's going to be coming out in June. So, yes, but it's still speculation. It is. I played some video games where the currency in the game is like so boisterous that they have to create these things called gold sinks. Basically, they need to have a way to burn money out of the game because as new players come into the game and there's all these ways to earn money, like the money is not static, right? Like it's like in America, inflation. We're just printing, right? And that's what these games are doing. They're just printing money. So they have to implement ways that the money will eventually disappear. Like you spend it on a non-player character who then never re-implements that currency into the game, right? So that money is gone forever. Provides some benefit to the player. The benefit to the game is longevity, right? It kills the money. The money's gone, so that inflation in the market is less prevalent than it would have been without that gold sink. And to me, in a way, that's what the stock exchange feels like. It feels like America's gold sink. It's like the grand exchange for those RuneScape players out there. The grand exchange of America, North America. The U.S. And, like hypothetically, this money is being used in some way by these companies, but we don't really ever see it again. That's kind of what it feels like. It's not a perfect analogy, but that's what it looks like from the outside to me, to a stupid person making things up. That's what it looks like. I just, comedy talk. Let's come up with a comedy segment theme song. Ready? Ooh, I'm uncomfortable. Comedy talk. Let's talk comedy. Comedy walks. Was that good? And I was just talking to a friend. I was at an open mic last night. I was talking to a friend. And he has a joke that he's talking about. The premise is this. His dad was not a bad guy, but had some beliefs that were not ideal, right? And this comic friend of mine, like basically the premise is that, had I listened to my dad, I would have become a racist, but I didn't. Here's why. Here's some stuff about my dad. Here's some stuff about me. This, right? And in it, he has a line in it that turns out is a premise from a Chris Rock bit from 20 years ago, and another comedian that was at the open mic, and I'm going to put comedian in quotes here. Another comedian in quotes was at this open mic and saw my friend do this joke, and felt that my friend had stolen from Chris Rock, even though I don't think that's actually what they felt. I think that they thought it's a this other person is black and my friend is white. I think that they saw a white guy talking about race and they thought, here's an opportunity for me to post about something online and look like a good guy. Because I know my friend is a good person and he's potentially the least racist person I know. He's so friendly. And not, you can be friendly and racist, by the way, but like he's a great person inside and out. Inside and out? Am I calling him hot? What am I saying? He's a really good person, okay? And he would never intentionally subject a minority to treatment that is less kind or fair than how he would treat somebody of his race, ever. And so that's, by the way, that's not what this joke is about. This joke is not about black people are weird. That's not what the joke is about. The joke is about my dad is this way and I don't like it. And I'm glad I'm not like him. I love my dad, but in these ways, he's a bad guy. That's the joke. So this other comedian that heard my friend do it, instead of, here's an option, going up to my friend and saying, listen, I want to let you know that that's a Chris Rock joke. Well, at least this line is from a Chris Rock bit. And I don't know where you got it from, but you might want to consider changing the wording or not doing it entirely because to some people it may look like you're taking directly from Chris Rock. Okay. Instead, what he did is he went on social media and made it a race thing. He made it about white guys, stop doing this, basically. Hey, white comedians, why don't you stop? It was good when Chris Rock did it 20 years ago. Why don't you? And it's like, yeah, did Chris Rock talk about my friend's dad 20 years ago? That's weird. And, here, what I think should have happened is this guy who saw my friend do this should have gone up to him, like I just said, and said, if his problem was it felt racist, then he should have said that. Say that. If the problem is you think he's stealing material, or it's not even that he's stealing, but it's just too close, then you do him a favor and you say, listen, I don't know if you've heard it or not, but Chris Rock has this bit, so you might want to change yours. Those are good options. Have a fucking conversation. Those are good options, What's not good is to try to tear down another comedian so that you look like a good person online. I think it's the most cowardly way to handle this. To see another comedian trying something that's personal and that's also risky, and that, by the way, was funny. The audience liked it. And then try to paint them as somebody who's a hack that's taken from Chris Rock and it's just a white guy making fun of black people so that you look like a fucking hero is of all the people that should be blacklisted from comedy, in my opinion, it's fucking those people. It's the people that don't treat it like a community, but they see an opportunity, even though they have to misrepresent a good person. They see it as an opportunity to get what? You're going to get 4 likes online? You got no following. You don't. I don't have a following, and my following is 20 times bigger than yours because I got 20 of you motherfuckers. Sing it, Deb. Let me hear you, Alex. I see you, motherfucker, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You're not a fucking hero. You're fake. You're fake. And so I've been talking to my friend about that this last hour. And so I'm still a little pissed about it, to be honest. It's not okay. It's not. There is parallel writing. Sometimes you'll listen to a comedian special. 6 months later, you're coming up with something and you pull the line out of the ether, and then it turns out it's actually like directly from their shit. That's not great, but it's not theft, okay? Theft is, I like that, I'm going to do that. That's theft. That's not what this was. What bothers me more than, honestly, what bothers me more than him not talking to him, because it'd be one thing to see my friend doing this bit and be like, I got a problem with that, and to not say anything. That's one thing. I think it's a comedian's responsibility to go up to another comic within reason. If this comic is 20 years ahead of you, maybe don't go tell them some shit. Just let them do their whatever. There is some hierarchy that needs to be respected, but don't go online and try to tear somebody down. Not another comic. There are comics who should not be doing it. But that's not what this was. This was not justice, you know. I'm being discreet, and I wish I didn't feel like I needed to be. I wish I could just say, not names, but like just tell you exactly what happened. But I don't trust YouTube, to be honest with you. I don't trust YouTube to understand the nuance of the argument that I'm trying to make, and it's just going to hear certain words. And I don't monetize this podcast, so I'm not concerned with not making money off the podcast. I don't want, there's been a couple times where I've uploaded an episode and I don't check. So then a week later, I realized that the episode got like taken down basically. So you guys went a week without an episode, and the whole week was thinking it was up. So it makes me nervous. I don't trust YouTube because of the way that YouTube's policies are. YouTube defaults to fucking the creator before anything. That's their first step. Fuck you. Your video's down. Your channel's blocked, whatever it is, or canceled altogether. Like, like copyright strikes and shit. Back in yonder years during the pandemic, and I was reading that, what's his name? David Goggins book. And I got multiple strikes on my channel. I was one strike away from it being just completely fucking deleted. And they don't verify the copyright. All it takes is a person saying that this is copywritten. They don't check anything. There's no due diligence. It's just a person filed a copyright strike. Therefore, your channel has a copyright strike. There's no fucking filtration process. And it's that way with a lot of the rules on YouTube. It's just like whatever AI generated fucking ear that's listening to this is like, oh, I heard this word. So there's one, and it's just, I don't trust it. So I'm sorry. I know I'm being vague, and I hope that it's not impacting the veracity of the story and the argument that I'm trying to make. But my point is, if you're a fucking coward and you don't have the balls to talk to another comedian about whether you think something is inappropriate and not a fair joke or stolen, if you don't have the balls to do that, just keep your fucking mouth shut. Don't go post about it online later and trying to get credit for being the guy that you are not. You are not the guy that corrects these things. You're not. You're the guy that types about it later when you're safe in your home behind a computer screen. When I was in prison, there were men that were the loudest, most obnoxious, most aggressive, offensive pieces of shit that were going to fight everybody. They're going to fight everybody. They're naming names when the fucking cell door is closed. Okay? And then the 1 hour a day when the doors slide and we all have access to everybody, we're all sharing the same air. All of a sudden, those people that are yelling, they're so quiet now. Why are they so quiet now that I'm in your face? Why are you being so quiet? Now that I can see you and we're here, we're able to have this conversation, shouldn't now be the time when you're going to yell about what you're going to do to me? What's going on? Why are you being so quiet? Is it because when you were locked in your room, you were protected by not just metal, but the guards and honestly, anonymity because we couldn't see you? We didn't know even who you were. You were just some disembodied voice yelling upsetting things about people you didn't like. Man, is that why? And then when you're out, now that you're out and we're here and you don't have anything to say, is that because now it's real and you'd actually have to have a backbone in order to say anything right now? Is that why? Huh. I wonder if that's why. Is that why? Is that why? Are you a coward? Huh. That's crazy. Hey, maybe when you go back to your cell, instead of yelling about everybody else, maybe you should yell about the things about yourself that you'd like to change. And coward is maybe one of the first ones. And that's what this comic is doing. You're hiding and you're acting like a fucking big dog, like a tough guy, because you're safe at your fucking house. You're a piece of shit. You're a coward, and you're this fucking big. You're tiny. For those of you that are just listening, I'm holding up my fingers as though I'm like between my forefinger and my thumb as though we're holding a pea. You're a little Nothing. So shut up. If you're not going to say it to the person's face, and I'm not even saying be respectful. I'm not even saying be polite. I'm saying go up to them and be like, hey, man, what you said up there was bullshit, and it came off as racist, and I don't like it. Say that. Have an argument. You know? I don't think you should, but fucking fight. I don't care. I mean, fist fight even. I don't think you should. I think that's a poor way to handle it. I think we're talking about art at the end of the day. So maybe just figure it out. But like, you know, even that, I would take that over this bullshit where you try to look like, you know, you're a superhero without a cape. It's all for attention, dude. It's all for attention. And you know what? Yeah, I know this person. And this person that talks shit online. And online doesn't matter. I know I'm somebody that, it's weird. I'm like super online and not online at all. You know, I have this podcast. I'm uploading to TikTok recently. You know, there's some things that I've done online. But at the same time, I don't check stuff. You know, I should be better about all this if I cared more. Or not that if I cared more, but, you know, it would be better for me and probably for you guys if I was online more. Online. Would you like it if I was online more? If I check stuff more? You know, but I'm not scanning through shit when I'm not working on stuff. I'm just not. I do check comments every few weeks, that kind of thing. I at least like to let you like leave a little heart or whatever, you know, not leave one, but like press the heart button. That's the effort. But just to let you know, I did read it and I care and I appreciate you, to let you know that. But like, you know, I'm just not. What was my point? Why was I talking about being online or not? I don't fucking remember. What? Why was I? Because I was going to say, I know this fucking guy. You know? I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about. Oh, online stuff doesn't matter. That's what I was saying. At this, you know, and it doesn't. Like, it isn't real, is what I'm trying to say. It does matter. Nowadays, it does matter, and I hate that, but it does matter. But it isn't real, and that's what allows you to do things online that are not genuine, that you would never do in person. It's this, you know, it's similar to like driving, how people are assholes in their car and they get out and they can't even make eye contact, that kind of thing, you know, road rage, that sort of stuff. But I know this guy that talks shit on my friend, and it's not even that it's my friend, by the way. It's not. It's that I think comedians should look out for each other. And even if you don't think somebody's funny, if they are truly giving it their all and they're in this thing, you should not go try to tear them down so you look good. I think that's the dirtiest, scummiest shit you can do to another comic. So for sure, this dude's never going to perform on anything I produce. That's never going to happen. And you know what? I'll put it out there. He probably wouldn't anyways, because he's not fucking funny. He's not funny. I've seen him perform probably, I'm going to say like 8 times. I've never seen him do well. People bomb all the time. That's normal. 8 times, every time I've seen you, every room being a good room? I don't think so. So maybe you're just not funny. Maybe you're not a good comic. Maybe your opinion about what other comics should and shouldn't do is invalid because you don't even know how to do it. And considering this dude's joke, my friend's joke, was not about what you said it was about, sounds like you don't even understand nuance. You're not performing it? No way. You can't do that. You're not even skilled enough to listen to it. You're not even adept enough at stand-up comedy to sit back and understand what's being presented to you. So how could you possibly get up on stage and do it? Now, am I doing the thing that I said you shouldn't do? You shouldn't just go shit on comics online? Yeah, but that's because I don't consider this guy a comic. But also, I'm going to say it to his face. I don't see him that often. I probably see him once a month. But I'm going to let him know what he did was bullshit. For sure. And, you know, this is not a drama podcast, and it can't be because I'm not naming names. But, and who are we anyways? But like, yeah, like this is a bunch of celebrities. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is this? I have to be like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing, dude? This motherfucker works at a comedy club. Had to get a job at a comedy club just to be able to perform on an open mic regularly. You know, that's the level of talent we're talking about here. So there are door guys, there are people that work at clubs, and there's value in that, and they're good comics. That's not what this is. This is a fucking leech on the community. So it's between my friend and him, and they're going to have a discussion, and I'm going to sit. I don't need to go protect an adult man. So they're going to need to settle their shit first. But for my own sake, I don't want you in the room. If I'm performing, I don't want you in the room. Because you're going to go online and misrepresent shit that I said. First of all, I'm saying it for the people in the room. It's for them. There's a context in the room. You know, they're in on the joke because they're at a comedy club. They have agreed to be in this situation. And if once they're in this situation, they are like, whoa, I didn't know that I was signing up for this. They can leave. That's fine. What you don't do is sit complicit in the room and then go talk about it in a forum where that context no longer exists. You don't do that. Especially if you're going to call yourself a fucking comedian. You don't do that. So I'm really shitty with this person. Chris. I'm really shitty with you, Chris. You're a bad guy, Chris. And you want everybody to think you're a good guy, Chris. But Chris, you can't even get any laughs. What's going on, Chris? Chris, if you can't get any laughs, how are you going to tell people how they should do stand-up, Chris? Chris, that's crazy. Is he talking about Chris Rock? He said it's a Chris Rock bit. I'm not talking about Chris Rock. Just Google Chris, and you'll find the comic I'm talking about. Give Chris a Google. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. A lot of good comedians, a lot of very hardworking comedians have so much self-doubt. By the way, gotta say, this is not me being like, hey, remember at the beginning of the podcast where I said I had a lot of doubt? That's because I'm a great comedian. That's not what's happening here. What I'm saying is there's just, the people that shouldn't have any confidence are so confident, and it bums me out. And the comics that should be fucking on the moon, screaming from the mountaintops how good and capable they are like, oh, is what I did okay? They're like shaking. And then these pathetic losers try to tear those people down because they're taking risks. There are comedians of all races, but white comedians that are doing and saying things that suck on stage, and black and white people should be offended. You know, this is not that. You know, I am not a good old boy. I'm not sitting here just like standing up for Whitey. That's so not what's happening. But it's just, dude, anytime a purported comedian, putting that one in quotes, is making an argument that disregards the nuance necessary to purvey an idea on a stand-up stage, like, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. If you're going to call yourself a comedian and then you don't even understand, like, a premise, you can't even, and it's not a vague premise. You know, this isn't alt comedy that you go from point A to C to fucking V. You know, this is a very straightforward, but like, you know, if you hear it, you understand. I would think if you hear it, you understand it. Apparently not. Have I been talking about this for too long? I'm just mad, man. I get so angry when shitty, talentless people try to tear down people that are fucking at least trying. At least trying. I'm going to have a heart attack. So, I don't know, man. And what bums me out about Chris is that Chris, every time I've seen him perform, has either humped the stool or pushed the stool. Need I pull up 1,000 comedians from every year stand-up comedy has been performed with a stool that are humping or pushing the stool as a main feature of their performance? Need I do that for you? Dude, humping the stool is the go-to hack joke. Like, if you are going to reference what hack is, you're going to talk about humping the stool. That's what this guy does. You know? And then he's going to talk about how this guy shouldn't say that because he stole it from Chris Rock. It's just wild. It's wild. And, you know, it's reminding me of my relationship with my brother, the brother who I have not spoken about in a long time. He has estranged himself from our family because he's a maniacal narcissist who exists only to hurt people because that's the only way that he feels alive. So I for a long time tried to understand this brother of mine. Like, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? It doesn't make any sense. And then I realized, oh, it doesn't make any sense because it's fucking insane. It's crazy. Crazy stuff doesn't make sense. That's why we call it crazy. You know, it's not like this, I did this and then that, so then that. You know, it's like there's no logic to it. You know, my brother wants people to be nice to him, so he's shitty to everybody. Okay? Chris can't understand him because I'm like, why would he, you know, do this? And the only way that I can explain it, why would he have this argument instead of, and they didn't talk to me. Why did he just go online? Because he just wants likes online. That's it. He's just a crazy person that's desperate for attention online from strangers. Hey, me too, buddy. But I'm trying to be authentic about it. You know, and it's just, he's willing to tear people down that are good comedians taking risks, trying to be authentic. I mean, my friend asked me before he did this joke, what do you think about it? Is this okay for me to say? You know? I try to whenever white comics are together and we're talking about should we be talking about this, I do try to bring up like, you know, we can definitely have this conversation, but please maybe also ask somebody who's not white just to let's get a bigger, more comprehensive picture here. But like, you know, he asked me, which means he is thinking. He's not just going up willy-nilly being like race, you know, which by the way, I think sometimes a comic needs to just have the nerve to just go say a thing without making sure it's okay for sure. Don't make, you know, like you need to take those risks. But I'm saying that hoping that the only people that will do that are comics who have a good heart, you know, and unfortunately there's comics that exist that don't. They're just shitty. And some of them are not real comics. Some of them are just hateful people that want to get behind a microphone. But some of them are real comics. They're really funny and they work hard, but they're also shitty, racist people. And I don't think those people should be canceled. I don't think they should be silenced. I think they should be argued with and made to look stupid when they say stupid stuff in public. That's what I think. Because just ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just lets it exist, you know? Let them try, you know, if you present dumb shit to the light of day, you get to ridicule it. And I think that's useful. But that's not what was happening here. I need to shut up about this. I've been talking about it too much. Not too much. It's just, you know, what? You guys, I just wish you could be in my head a little bit, you know? I want you guys to be in my head to see the characters that are playing in this movie. So you can understand this narrative a little bit better to see how wrong it is. That's all. I'm just really trying to, I know I'm beating a dead horse. In comedy, it's good to talk about a thing until the audience is like, all right, we get it. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here is talk it to death so that you just really can get it. I don't know. I got therapy coming up, man. And I'm excited for it. It's helpful. It's good. It is good. But sometimes I'm like, am I sad enough to spend $175 today? But that's not how therapy works. But that is what I tell myself. I'm like, am I in a bad enough mood to go spend $175? But that's not the point. My point, like therapy is a long-term thing that you fix parts of yourself over long periods of time. Occasionally you have revelations and shit gets better quickly, but like, you know, So when my brain starts to tell me you're wasting money, you're not sad, you don't have real problems, they're all invented in your head, I'm like, well, I was basically my mother's husband for the first 15 years of my life. So maybe I need to process that. Don't get gross. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. If you are new and you stuck around, thank you so much. Truly, 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 thank you so much for being here. If you're old and you stuck around, you guys are the best, really. I could not be doing it without you. If I was doing this podcast for 0 people, I would be exponentially more upset with myself. So that's not a threat. I feel like I'm your girlfriend and I'm saying, if you leave me, I'm going to cut myself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying thank you. I'm saying thank you for protecting me from me. Please leave a like. Bye.